Now, I wanted to show you guys this clip on Candace Owens, right? And her basically exposing the Freemasons and Freemasonry, period. But, on this channel, all we do is talk about Freemasons and how we think they run our world and how we have the evidence to prove it. But, like I said, I don't agree with everything Candace Owens says because I do believe that she has some truth to her, but I also believe that she can be like a hypocrite sometimes and just run with different scenarios and, some things she might call it truth and some things she's being a hypocrite about it. But let's just watch this clip real fast.
What is Freemasonry? Full stop, okay? During the late Middle Ages, the world was united under the Holy Roman Catholic Church. So if you had any opposition to the church throughout Europe, you were forced to go underground, right? We were a Christian society. And among the only organized groups that were able to move freely throughout Europe were the guilds of stonemasons. And they would then be therefore, because they could move freely, hence Freemasons, were able to maintain meeting halls or lodges in really every major city. And the Masons were essentially very talented at architecture, and they had a bunch of secret knowledge, sometimes secret knowledge of architecture and of other topics. That knowledge was dated back to the times of Egypt, right? And it was essential maintaining this knowledge in the construction of European churches and cathedrals. So one of the things that is well known is the Freemasons were in opposition to the church, right? They want to crush the church, which is why it is not ironic that the person who founded the Mormon church, as just one example, many of the churches, the very many Protestant faiths that we have, was Joseph Smith, and he was a Freemason. That's a fact, just one example. Now, you may know some people that are Freemasons, and you're going, well, I know this person, and he goes to a lodge, and he's completely harmless. Yes, it is a known thing that 97% of Freemasons are not in the top tier degree of Freemasonry. It is understood that at the top tier degree of Freemasonry, you essentially become one of the makers of the world. Now, I remember, and I've spoken about this on this podcast, but one of the things that kind of ripped me into a new reality last year when I was studying with some priests was they sort of looked at me. I was in London at the time, and they just said to me in the kindest way possible, you Americans don't know anything about real history. You know nothing about your own country. You don't even know that your country was established by Freemasons, right? And it's interesting, of course, that I'm referring to Catholic priests. I believe a lot of the reasons why people hate Catholicism or hate Catholics is because Catholics know history. They have been recording history for a long time. So if you're a Freemason and you're working to rewrite history, or you're telling people that America was established because of this or because of that, and you completely remove the aspects of Freemasonry from our textbooks as they have, then yeah, you're going to be at conflict with the Catholic Church, who remembers everything and keeps, very good records of history. So just for those of you guys who've never even heard of that, and like I said, I would have been among you. I'm very new to relearning American history through the lens of Freemasonry. Some known Freemasons: George Washington was a Freemason, Thomas Jefferson was a Freemason, Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason, Buzz Aldrin was a Freemason. Don't get me started. For those of you that have been listening to this podcast for a long time, you already know where I'm at when it comes to NASA and the weird satanic chants that they were doing to establish the Apollo program and all the weird stuff that happened leading up to the moon landings. I freaked out when I learned Buzz Aldrin was a Freemason. It's not helping my case in believing those moon landings, I'll tell you that for free. Franklin Roosevelt was another Freemason. Sigmund Freud, that got me into a lot of trouble this year because I started speaking about Sigmund Freud, member of B'nai B'rith, and I was telling you, like, this guy who keeps writing about child's, yeah, there are some things you should know about him. He was a Freemason. Mozart was a Freemason.
Yeah, as you can see, that clip is very interesting. It's very interesting. I just wanted to show you guys that clip because I do believe that the Freemasons obviously are the ones who run our world, are pulling the strings behind closed doors, because we were, like she was saying, I do agree that we were founded on, basic masonry principles, and adopted by them since day one. And, like our presidents were Freemasons. All that stuff isn't just a coincidence, man. So I do believe that she is telling the truth about that. Like we said before, man, we do believe that, it's a lot of evil and wicked intentions behind the Freemasons. People just think that they're just like a group of old men that just go in their lodges and just talk about sports and stuff like that, but it's definitely not. They're the ones that are pulling strings, man, and they make it so, we're not going to do too much exposing, but they make it so, like, to the masses, it looks like they're just sweet old people that just, aren't harming anything, but really they can be behind us, man. But why I say that Candace is like a hypocrite sometimes is because she knows the truth. Like, she knows the truth about the Masons and a lot of other truth that I don't want to talk about on here really. But she still seems like she's kind of like Kanye in a sense. He acts like he's against the system, like he's against the elites, but really he's controlled opposition. He's a controlled opposition agent. And that's why I think that Candace is too. Like, she acts like she's on our side a little bit, the believer side, but at the same time, it seems like she narrows away and, kind of is like, out of nowhere, she'll be right on their side, the one she was just talking about, taking pictures with them and like, getting the bigger podcast and just, it's just, I can see the hypocrisy right in it, man. But I do believe, not to talk about her or anything like that, I do believe that she is a puppet being controlled by the elites, being controlled by the people that run our world, man, and that are the higher ups, and they're just pulling her strings, So to make it seem like she's, on our side a little bit, it all makes sense though if you do your research and think about it. Some things don't add up, but I do like the way she was coming at it from like before they started before she became a puppet. I do believe she wasn't always a puppet. I do believe there was some truth, about her about the Christians being persecuted. I do agree with that. I do agree about of certain things that she, said, trying to stand on traditional, conservative, values and traditions, besides the opposite of that, that's just more about people being fair, which, we got to stand on truth and facts. And I do believe that she does have truth to her, like I said, but also she can be more like the hypocrite side too. So like I said, man, you guys comment what you guys think of this video about the Freemasons and about Candace Owens, and what do you guys think that she is doing. But I won't do too much talking on that. You guys just comment what you guys think of this video. God bless.